are so many wonderful games coming down the pipeline, and I know that's kind of terrifying if you, like me, already have a backlog the size of which you'll never get through in your lifetime. But trust me, you're going to want to know about all these wonderful games that are coming. And we're talking everything from the huge AAA things from major publishers down to those absolute gems from indie studios. There's so many of them, we can't fit them all on this list, but we're here to cut through the noise and give you just 20 to focus on. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 20 upcoming games you need to know about. The Blood of Dawnwalker. Developer Rebel Wolves open-world action RPG takes you back to Europe in the 14th century, and we're talking lots of interesting set bits and pieces, including, of course, a bunch of Gothic stuff and vampires, naturally. Touching down in the fictional kingdom of Vale Sangora, we take on the role of Cohen, a blade-like half-breed who's human by day and vampire by night. In an all-out fight to save Cohen's family from a ruling cabal of vampires and their overlord Brankus, the direction of the story and whether things move towards dark or light will be shaped by your actions and decisions. The game draws heavily on Eastern European folklore, as well as the Gothic tradition of Western Europe, and if early trailers are anything to go by, makes the best use of the talents of Konrad Tomaszkiewicz, who is, of course, the director of The Witcher 3 and head of production for Cyberpunk 2077. This is the first game from Tomaszkiewicz since he left CD Projekt Red back in 2021, and he does have a 90-person team with him, so this should be a good one. The game's scheduled to be released on the PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S in 2026.
The internet is an ever-evolving space, but to stay safe, stay in control, and save big, NordVPN is running an unbelievable deal that gets you up to 76% off subscriptions and 3 months free. Just scan the QR code in this video or click the link below and it's all yours.
Killer Inn. This time, Square Enix are the ones at the helm, and this is a one-night-only murder mystery game called Killer Inn. The action game gathers a ragtag group of characters at an ancient castle lost to time. Rather than the usual assemblage of bystanders, suspects, and detective types that you'd expect from things like Knives Out or Poirot, Killer Inn's guests are each chosen ones. Now, they have unique styles and abilities, which make the gameplay options potentially unlimited. With a whopping 24 characters to choose from, the group is split into lambs and wolves. Each cavort around the estate, solving puzzles, gathering weapons, and either killing, if you're a wolf, or attempting to uncover the killers while not being slaughtered, if you're a lamb. Far from your ordinary mystery game, Killer Inn combines bluffing and misdirection with RPG mechanic fast-paced action, utilizing an array of inventive weapons, plus slower-paced quests and plenty of secrets to uncover. All in all, it's a cops and robbers social deduction game that promises high player count matches that doesn't seem like it's gonna fall into those pitfalls of camping, spamming, and all that nonsense. Its second closed beta test is set to run from the 3rd to the 13th of October this year, and a full release is supposed to be on Steam in 2026. Shark Dentist. While big studios are absolutely proving stride by stride just how great things are getting in terms of mechanics, innovative gameplay, and graphics, sometimes above all else, there's really still something to be said for that indie game that has a high concept but seems overly simplistic but in a really delightful way, and that's exactly what we've got with Shark Dentist. Developed by small studio Alice Games, who have just a handful of simulators plus Broventure, the surprisingly satisfying, massively multiplayer co-op action game to their name, Shark Dentist does, well, exactly what it says on the tin. We get to play as an enameled jockey for gigantic marine predators, treating live sharks in a grotty backwater clinic while navigating their rougher instincts. Presented in a multi-angle setup that blends first and third person, Shark Dentist forces us to balance tactics, precision, and limited resources, like rusty saws, flickering lights, and not nearly enough anesthetic, all of which you'll use to scrape, scrub, and pull the teeth without losing an arm, or worse. Fair to say this one seems like a balance of silly fun and also an interesting and somewhat horrific exercise in suspension. This one has truly the potential to come out arms, head, and shoulders above the competition. if you can keep them intact. This one is all set to release on PC in 2026. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Vampire the Masquerade began life as a 90s tabletop RPG where it was an absolute cult hit and continues to be till this day. It then spawned a run of video games, and that run has not stopped. While the quality of those games so far has been a little up and down, second game Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines struck red gold in 2004, demonstrating just what an RPG of that time could accomplish, and more, despite a string of technical issues that developer Troika Games never really recovered from. As a result, the game has been sitting sequel-less for over 2 decades, while other, lesser Vampire the Masquerade games have steamed ahead. But that is no more, because Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is now on the way, pretty much. The action looks epic and bloody as all hell, with an urban setting plonking us down in present-day Seattle for a rainy phosphor and neon adventure of vampire clan warfare. It's fair to say this one has had a long and pretty rocky road to completion. The original developers Hardsuit Labs bowed out back in 2021, at which point it was picked up by the Chinese Room, who you might know from doing Amnesia Machine for Pigs. Now, hopefully this one's gonna end up being good. We have all our fingers crossed, and we're gonna be optimistic here, because this could be really fantastic. The game is scheduled for release October 21st of this year on PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Aniimo. Cutesy games are not everybody's cup of tea, and neither are free-to-play open-world games, but sometimes there's an example that seems just enticing enough to ignore that gut instinct if it's not your normal thing. Aniimo takes the creature factor of Pokemon and combines it with the open-world exploration of Zelda, creating an action RPG that appears to offer all manner of magical creatures, quests, and boundless landscapes, all without 12-year-olds noob-tubing you every 5 seconds. Developed by Paw Print Studio, the game is, in their words, a living story that responds to you, with adaptive technology and encounters, inviting you to use stealth and force to capture monsters, then compelling you to bond and grow with them. You can play as and with the monsters, nurturing their abilities and expanding your own, with the option of flying, swimming, running, and gliding your way through seamlessly connected desert, jungle, city, volcanic, and ocean environments. The design is admittedly cartoonish and definitely supposed to appeal to the widest possible demographic, but if that turns out to be the only sticking point as to why you wouldn't want to play it, might be worth checking out. Its release date is set for 2026, and it's headed to Xbox Series X, PC, Android, and iOS. Helmmart. Helmmart is a horror survival sim that lets you live out one of your deepest fantasies, or nightmares, and that is being locked in a supermarket at night. But it's not all fun and games. Playing first person as a store clerk, you still have to serve customers and stock shelves during the day, getting a good feel for what it's like to be trapped in a dead-end job you hate, which most of us would know the feeling for. And most of us would know that feeling. However, when night falls and you're on your own manning the till, you have to bar the windows, lock the doors, and defend yourself against untold screaming hell monsters that want to make you their midnight snack. As Sims go, this one really looks the part, with the trailers showcasing a meticulous attention to the small details, from the store design and interactive objects to the character movements, sound design, and that even includes your shoes squeaking on the polished floors. There's a serious Five Nights at Freddy's vibe here, but the design here looks absolute light years ahead, which is pretty darn impressive since developer Gaiden Games is pretty darn new to the scene. We'll have to see that. The game will release on Steam in 2026. Jurassic World Evolution 3. Fans of the Dino Destruction Jurassic Park franchise may have been disappointed by this year's lackluster and ultimately inconsequential addition to the canon, Jurassic World Rebirth. But there is light on the horizon. The Jurassic World Evolution series is returning for its 3rd entry. And Evolution 3 once again gives you the opportunity to design and manage your own dinosaur-packed park. With more than 80 species of prehistoric animals, most of which have distinct female, male, and adult child variants, and a new and improved construction system to build the park around them and hopefully keep them contained unless you don't want to, the opportunities are endless. This one also builds on previous installments' dino features and brings us closer to the world films by allowing the genetic modification of dinosaurs in the park, creating traits for their offspring to inherit. If that's not enough, the animals themselves have been upgraded with sharper, more realistic and independent thinking, so you can expect them to behave in a more expected and intelligent way to their surroundings, which is pretty cool. It comes to PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S on October the 21st. Clover Pit. Described by its publisher, Future Friends Games, as the demonic love child of Balatro and Buckshot Roulette, Clover Pit traps players in a rusty cell with slot machines, as well as a phone and an ATM. Now, the goal is to game the slot machines, pay off your debts at the end of each round, and ultimately just survive. The success of a game like Clover Pit basically means how long can you continue to survive before those grates beneath you open up and drop you into a pit to your inevitable demise. And that kind of seems like a winning formula. The simple premise and fairly basic 3D graphics reminiscent of earlier PS2 games have easily endeared it to its early access players, and it's earned solid reviews from those who've had the pleasure thanks to its addictive gameplay. Developer Panic Arcade decided to delay this one from its original release because it was going to clash with Hollow Knight Silksong, which is probably the right call, but hopefully this will mean it's got time to breathe and you will have time to get your hands on it. The game will hit PC on the 26th of this month. So if you're watching this after the 26th of September, it's out. You can go play it if you want to. Mortal Shell 2. Action RPG Mortal Shell released back in 2020, and while it offered a lot to love, the general consensus was it was an inferior Dark Souls. Well, developer Cold Symmetry haven't just been twiddling their thumbs for the past decade. It seems they've listened to players' gripes, taken them on board, and they're set to deliver a serious counterblow with the sequel, Mortal Shell 2. Announcing itself with a skull-crushing trailer that features a heavy metal soundtrack and frankly some pretty heavy metal visuals, everything we've seen of the game so far seems to up the ante to 11. As a standalone sequel to Mortal Shell, 2 expands on the original with epic and much faster combat, advanced weapon design and upgrade options, and an emphasis on exploration through magnificent but bleak territories. There are hell beasts aplenty for you to get your hands on, and awesome, very satisfying and brutal Mortal Kombat style finishes. Like the previous game, the aim is to awaken and possess the forms or shells of forgotten warriors, unlocking a host of unique abilities. It's said to be released in 2026 for the PS5, Xbox, and PC. Atmosphere. Best known for the rather silly Airport CEO games, APOG Labs have yet to make much of a name for themselves in the gaming world, but Atmosphere may be about to change that. The team's development capabilities have come leaps and bounds over the last few years, and if the trailers for this one are to be believed, this is going to be a real treat. A co-op survival game where you're sent to discover the fate of humanity's final outpost on an alien world. This game will have you face extraterrestrial beasts and unfamiliar terrain. It might sound like Alien, but the visuals of this game are anything but, utilizing a cozy aesthetic and feeling right at home in a gaming experience that seems to prioritize the exploration of the world over conflict, where you'll actually largely be scavenging for resources with friends. The planet is packed with floating structures and you live in an airbase. And on each mission, you'll get to choose which wasp craft you want to take. Basically, that's a hovering flying vessel. Essentially, with this one, you can expect the sky to be not so much the limit as the starting point. Expect an early access release date for the game on Steam in 2026. The Wolf Among Us 2. The sequel to one of Telltale Games' absolute best episodic adventure games, The Wolf Among Us, is almost here. It's been a hell of a long time coming, but we've almost got it in our hands. Almost. The Wolf Among Us 2 focuses on Big B, the big bad wolf and ex-sheriff of Fabletown. We join him for another noir adventure, this time as a private detective in another outing loosely based on the Fables comic book series from which the game is derived. Of course, as you might know, between the first game coming out and now, the original incarnation of Telltale went the way of the lemming before being revived in a new form in 2018, with LCG Entertainment acquiring the rights to a bunch of original Telltale IPs and doing business under the Telltale name with some of the old team. Wolf Among Us 2 was then announced in 2019, and since then there have been a ton of delays and reworkings, and hopefully that's been for the best. The game is indeed now alive and on the way, and its updated graphics and style do promise to be worth the wait. It's expected to appear on PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S in 2026. Light of Motierum. Originally conceived of as an addition to Sony's Horizon series, Polaris Quest's Light of Motierum contains an undeniably Horizon-like world, but nonetheless, it does pack its own distinct playstyle and features. The open-world survival game also features a world where human civilization as it was has died out, and now things are all futuristic and also primitive at the same time, Horizon style. Here, mech animal tech beasts roam the land, and the terrains have returned to something of their former pre-industrial age glory. Playing as a member of one of the remaining tribe of humans, you get to interact with the new world and collaborate to survive the beasts and the unpredictable forces of nature. Light of Motierum drops us into a gaming world where everything has a use, with extensive crafting and base building mechanics, animals that can be caught, tamed, and used to your advantage, and the ability to collect resources, Minecraft style, by chopping down trees, catching fish, mining rocks, you name it. At the very least, if you're a huge Horizon fan, this one should be a really good stopgap, but hopefully it will end up being just as good, if not even better. The game is set to launch on PlayStation 5, iOS, PC, and Android in 2026. The Last Caretaker. There's definitely an emerging theme in new games, with humanity either in mortal jeopardy, abandoning Earth, or wiped out altogether, being a frequent storyline in a large number of coming releases. But maybe it's not too difficult to understand why. Nevertheless, we all love an apocalypse as much as the next gamer, and if we can sit on our couches and save humanity from there, well, that's all the better. The Last Caretaker is just what the climate scientist ordered, as Channel 37's first-person RPG makes us the ghost in a reawakened machine, whose mission is to save humanity from a dying planet. But not, save the planet itself. In a sort of Interstellar meets WALL-E situation, Last Caretaker gives us the option to craft tools and weapons from salvaged tech while making our way through a dangerous ocean world, rooting through forgotten facilities to find the genetic seeds of humanity, incubate them, grow them, and launch them towards the habitable planet. But don't worry, this isn't Animal Crossing. There will be guns, tech, and all manner of all-out action, so this is definitely going to be a grade above planting and hitting trees and trying not to get stung by bees. That's what happened when I played Animal Crossing. I did not play it for that long. Early access for PC will be later this year, and an Xbox Series X release and PlayStation 5 release date should rock up in 2026. Ninja Gaiden 4. Fans of the especially long-lived hack-and-slash Ninja Gaiden series, seriously, this thing has been going since 1998, will be pleased to know there is a fourth outing well on the way, with a 9th-gen cross-console launch imminent. Given Ninja Gaiden 3 came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360, this will be the first major installment in the franchise in 13 years. Produced by head of dev studio Team Ninja and co-director of the third game, Fumihiko Yasuda, the game may have been a long time coming, but Ninja Gaiden 4 promises an embarrassment of riches. Set in near-future Tokyo, we're going to take control of a new protagonist called Yakumo, a fighter able to manipulate his blood and the blood of the enemies to create powerful weapons. Then he's going to be paired off against series regular Ryu Hayabusa in a supporting antagonistic role. Expect super swift, super bloody combat with a style reminiscent of the 2000s, but all those lovely bells and whistles graphically and mechanically that are going to make it feel very 2020s. The game will land on PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S on October 21st. Pragmata. Capcom never rests on their laurels, but they do tend to get stuck in existing IP, with no original games in the past 8 years. That said, their upcoming action-adventure Pragmata is about to change that. In the game, your protagonist, Hugh, is an astronaut who needs to navigate a lunar space station where AI is all kinds of rampant. Imagine that. You'll be battling robots of every shape and size in an effort to escape and return to the Earth's surface. But fear not, you're not alone. Along for the ride is pint-sized AI Diana, a robot with a small girl's body and personality, whose electrical and hacking powers will help overcome puzzles and enemies. Kind of a Ratchet and Clank for grown-ups, this one features gameplay that allows you both protagonists' abilities in combat and challenges alike, presented with lush, super realistic graphics. First announced back in 2020, this one's been in the pipeline for a while, and we've known about it for a while, but like many of the games on this list, because that's what the list is about, it is finally on its way, and hopefully it's everything that we want it to be. It'll be released for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in 2026. Terminator 2D, No Fate. Terminator 2 is not just the best film of its franchise, it is one of the most celebrated sci-fi and action movies of all time. The film tasks Arnie's reprogrammed T-800 with protecting a pre-teen John Connor, humanity's future savior, from the malevolent liquid metal T-1000, while perfectly capturing the 90s zeitgeist. And now, there's a game that does the same. Terminator 2D No Fate is, you guessed it, a 2D side-scroller run-and-gun game that translates the film into pixels with a classic feel, but of course on modern consoles. We get to dive into all the action set pieces from the film, including the truck and chopper chases, and you'll be playing as both John and Sarah. It captures the vibe of the old Sega SNES T2 games from the 90s, but its levels go deeper on the pre-apocalyptic past and the post-apocalyptic future, expanding the experience far beyond what you see in the film, while remaining true to the aesthetic, the canon, and the universe at whole. Also, interestingly, you get to decide your own ending. You can play things out as they do in the film, or you can deviate and decide what you want to happen at the very end. The game will release on Steam, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S on October 31st. Ferocious. Fans of Jurassic Park are not just in for a treat with the new park builder Jurassic World Evolution, but will find something exciting, familiar, and as yet unmatched in upcoming first-person shooter Ferocious. A Jurassic Park game in all but name, Ferocious awakens us on an uncharted island where there are dense forests, ancient ruins, and, of course, a metric ton of dinosaurs, many of whom want your guts for garters. Survival depends on your ability to explore and adapt in real time, and with a massively fast pace, you'll basically need to jump from one life-threatening situation to the next, and hopefully come out unscathed, or scathed, but alive. The game features adaptive combat in which you need to use a wide array of weapons and all of your resources if you want to survive. And there's an island of inhabitants that don't sit still and wait for you to come to them. But it's not just the prehistoric inhabitants that have it in for you. There are mercenaries and mechas, plus an ecosystem designed to be hostile to outsiders. Whether you want to search for secrets, run with the monsters, or slay some fools, it kind of seems like Ferocious could have you all set up. The game is set to arrive on Xbox Series X, PC, and PlayStation 5 in late 2025 or early 2026. Directive 8020. Once again, Earth is on the way out, and humanity is faced with a ticking clock. The only thing that can save us from extinction is 12 light years away, the planet Tau Ceti, where you're headed on the colony ship Cassiopeia. Such is the premise of Directive 8020, but if what you're expecting is a neat little world-building survival game, you have come to the wrong place. When Cassiopeia crash lands on the planet's surface, you and your crewmates find yourself face to face with alien shapeshifters, and pretty soon, no one can be trusted. It's a little bit like The Thing meets Alien. And not only is it the next big thing from BAFTA-winning indie outfit Supermassive Games, who of course did Until Dawn and The Quarry, one of which was amazing and one was fine, it could well be the next major title in horror gaming. It's got all the things you'd expect: dark corridors, stealth sequences, grim horrors, and a bunch of tricky decisions. The game launches on PlayStation 5, Microsoft Windows, and Xbox Series X and S in the first half of 2026. Gothic Remake. Soon you'll be able to return to the Valley of the Mines in style, because despite original developer Piranha Bytes shutting up shop in 2024, Alchemia Interactive have been working on a faithful remake of the first Gothic game, which of course hit shelves 24 years ago. We return to the story of the nameless hero who gets thrown into a magical mining colony on a medieval fantasy world. Here he joins one of 3 camps, each of which offers its own benefits and hindrances in your quest to defeat demons, summon gods, and set the colony free. The open-world fantasy RPG has been built out from the original so that it reacts dynamically to your gameplay, as well as offering unrestricted exploration, and it features a modernized, ultra-fluid combat system. It's rich and detailed with graphics that will allow you to become even more immersed in that Gothic world like never before, and it's masterfully designed and lit with a truly cinematic approach to light and effects, if the trailers are to be believed. Whether you're new to the series or an old hand, if they manage to pull this one off, this is going to be an essential play and a really iconic point in the gaming landscape. The full game is set for release in early 2026 on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. 007 First Light. While everyone is arguing over who should be the next Bond, whether it's Tom Hardy, Nicholas Hoult, or Aaron Taylor-Johnson, there's a decent pick in Patrick Gibson. Now, he'll be lending his voice and likeness to Bond in the brand new game. After 13 years and counting without a Bond game to speak of, 007 First Light is well on the way and developed by Hitman creator IO Interactive. It's set to be a Bond origin story that eschews the aesthetics or setting of Ian Fleming's novels and follows the Daniel Craig model, with an action-focused breakneck pacing and modernity coursing through it. This time, Bond is a young recruit in MI6's training program, who's less vodka martini and dinner suit, and more combat jacket and bloody fistfights. Rough around the edges and lacking that refined flair of the grown-up 007, this offers a slightly different perspective and lets people get in on the ground floor, which would also be attractive to those of you who don't consider yourself 007 fan veterans. IO were known for the Hitman games. It's well worth repeating, and First Light looks to be taking this as its cue. That is to say, intense stealth missions combined with the kinda rough and tumble close quarters combat, FPS action, and high-speed car chases that we're used to from 007 gaming. And if things go well, this is set up to be the first of a whole new trilogy of games. It'll hit the Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S on the 27th of March next year. Oh my goodness, those are a lot of games for you to keep your eye on, but if you're really excited to play something right now and you're wondering why I just told you a bunch of games that aren't out yet, don't worry, we've got lists on a bunch of games that are really good that you might have missed out on from the last year or the year before that. So you can go watch a video about that. There should be one around my face, maybe right now. So click it, have a good time, and play one of them. So many underrated gems. You'll love it. Bye!